order. You think I would know this statement by heart. We've been doing it for so many months, but this meeting will be held via virtual communications media technology is made necessary by the continued state and local emergency because of the continued COVID-19 pandemic and the need to ensure the public health, safety, and welfare. This meeting will be conducted remotely via Zoom. Due to the ongoing state of emergency and the recommendations from all public health authorities, the City of Aventura recommends that all persons view and participate in the meeting through electronic means. Members of the public have been directed on how to access the meeting through the agenda posted online and at Government Center. Members of the public will be able to provide comments via audio when the item is open to public comment. The city clerk will provide directions on how to participate when the item is open for public comment. Can I now ask everyone to please rise as we say the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance
to the
to the
United
flag of the United States
of
of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the city manager if there are any deletions or additions to the published. Let me ask the city clerk to please call roll.
Mayor Weissman,
Here.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Here.
Commissioner Evans,
Present.
Commissioner Friedland,
Present.
Commissioner Landman,
Here.
Commissioner Dr. Marks.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Because I just lost my video also, but I can hear you.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Narotsky,
I'm present.
Mr. Wasson,
Present.
and Mr. Wolpen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
No.
Okay. I'm going to vary a little bit from the printed agenda. We do have someone with us. I don't know if he's on at this moment. Mr. Arza? Ralph?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Ralph is with the Alliance for Charter School, and he's going to give us their legislative update and some probably inside information, if I know him well, on what we can expect maybe during the session in Tallahassee for our charter schools. Mr. Arza.
Thank you.
Former state representative.
Thank you, Mayor. I really enjoyed the comments before your meeting started. It was really entertaining. You guys must be one of the few cities that you actually like each other. You get along. So whatever you're doing, keep doing that. Because if it isn't fun, why do it? So
It's not for the
when
money.
you look at the no, and one of the things I wanted to mention to the board that we made a commitment. I made a commitment to you that we would resolve the issue with the Cambridge situation with Miami-Dade schools, and we did. I know there was some doubt, a little bit of doubt, but we were able to accomplish that. So when you look at the legislative, how would you say it, landscape at the federal level, look, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, all supported charter schools when they were in office. President-elect Biden has said that he does not support for-profit charter schools. Now, in the state of Florida, the good thing is that all the charter schools in Florida are nonprofit. So I do not foresee an issue at the federal level. The only thing that the president could do, president-elect, he could veto charter schools called CSP, charter school startup funds. He could do that. That would be the only item that there could be a line item veto in the federal budget for that. So when you look, and obviously what's going to happen in the upcoming election in Georgia is going to say a lot, of what happens. When you look at the state level, obviously Commissioner Corcoran is still the commissioner pro school choice. You have a House that is 78 of the 120 members. are Republicans, and they're all support school choice. You even have a lot of Democrats. You know, there's 42 Democrats in the House here in Florida. A lot of them support school choice. When you look at the Senate is a 24-16 majority. And they picked up 2 seats that were unexpected. And so there's a strong majority of support school choice. And out of the 16 Democrats, you have several Democrats that support school choice. So at the state level, I don't see any changes to the current political environment that would adversely affect those 2 beautiful schools that you guys have. At the local level, there are 3 new school board members in Miami-Dade County Public Schools. One of them will be over your area, Baez Geller. She filled out a form for us that she supports school choice. I can't imagine that she would go back on that. You have school board member Christy Fraga, who supports school choice. And then you have a young lady, very enthusiastic in the south part of the county, Santos, who, you know, she's not against it, you know, and if you look at the political landscape of the campaigns, school choice was a big issue, and a lot of parents want that school choice. And upcoming session, you've got the funding, capital outlay. I saw your agenda. My only advice to you guys, and you guys are all elected officials, separate your education agenda from the city agenda. Try as much as possible so it doesn't get convoluted. Charter School USA has a good lobbying team in Tallahassee. They pretty much have accomplished whatever they've set out to accomplish. You know, Ron Book, and I've dealt personally with Ron throughout the years. He's one of the top lobbyists, you know, in the state of Florida. So I believe that I don't see anything bad happening to your schools, right? I see good things. I mean, there's legislation that has been passed regarding the sharing of funds locally. We appreciate, the charter movement appreciates your support and the lawsuit that you filed, you know, for equity in the sharing of the local millage, local funds that have been brought in by the school district. And look, a long time ago, Aventura was a donor county. The amount of property taxes that you pay are incredible. And the question is, what do you get back in return for that, for your schools? And you took the initiative long time ago. I think Senator Gwen Margolis, you know, went out there and advocated for your town to have a school, and you did have that school, and then you became incorporated. So I don't foresee anything that I would say it's a threat to your schools and what is happening. The FTE funding, you know, sales tax has been making a recovery. Property tax and sales tax makes up the Florida state budget. We cannot operate in a deficit, so we have to always be in, you know, like be in the black, so to speak. We cannot have deficit funding like the federal government can do that. We have new monies that have been allocated by the new version of the CARES Act. So I think there'll be more money specifically dedicated to K-12 education. So I don't see anything bad on the horizon for you. I really don't. And if you guys have some questions, I will take them at this time. And forgive me for my outfit. I want to go try to run, you know, once I finish this call.
Does any member of the commission have any questions for Representative Garza? Okay, seeing as there are none, we're going to thank you, and thank you for the work that you do for us in Tallahassee, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Have a great meeting. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Now back on our regularly published agenda. Our first special presentation is from Principal Tracala and giving us the update about ACEs.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's well. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Just get right into it. Safety will, of course, remain a top priority for ACEs. But in addition to that, the leadership team, we really thought through what we want to be our 5, areas of focus as we go into 2021. So we're going to be focusing on data-driven decision-making, social emotional learning, student opportunities for innovation and exploration. And that's something we really didn't do well the first semester because we were so laser focused on instruction, safety, following all protocols. We're still going to do that, but we have to find a way to get back to what we've always done in giving our students opportunities to explore. Professional reflective practices for our teachers, finding new opportunities. Now that they've lost a lot of time to go visit each other's classes, we found ways that they can do that through video and recording. And then maintaining a reasonable and equitable workloads, really being creative with everything that we have on our plates to find ways to shift responsibilities around. Currently, we have 1,032 students enrolled. We have the 1,035 cap. So we've already started the process of extending the offer for those 3 seats, working through 1 military family, confirming the orders, and then with everyone else confirming addresses and everything. So we'll be at 1,035 again before the February FTE. And we're also ready for the enrollment window, which begins here very soon, and all that comes with that. We begin our diagnostic testing next week for all students. And for those that are in grades that take the state FSA test, we're asking families to bring the students on campus for their math diagnostic. We focused on math because that's the area that we've identified the largest regression, but also because that's the place that academic honesty is most easily broken. So we're focusing on that, but then across all subjects, science and language arts as well. We're using our honor code, Zoom monitoring, and parent communication to really try to guard against cheating and inflated data, especially this time. We're just emphasizing to parents, you are not hurting anyone but your own student if we don't get accurate data, because it's our last touch point to really hone in on our interventions prior to testing season coming up. Those interventions will be determined by the data, but we know we'll do a Saturday academy, we'll do tutoring and in-school support, but based on what we see, we may try to get more innovative depending on the need. This month, we'll complete our second quarter. We'll celebrate honor roll this time online for February. We recently held our National Junior Honor Society induction online in December for students in grades 6 through 8, and we have 48 Honor Society members in middle school. Our 8th grade students, we're developing a unique experience on January 16th. We're just finalizing. It happened way faster than I anticipated, but it's going to be fun. They always do an experience around the novel The Outsiders, which they read in 8th grade. Usually we use the AACC. We've been partnering with different members of the community to do a drive-in movie theater experience for them. We have a lot of work still to make that happen, but it's certainly worth the effort, and the students are very excited about it. Over Thanksgiving break and winter break, we did math challenges, giving students a chance to win a Nintendo Switch. Over those 3 weeks, over 10,000 math problems were completed by students when typically no online math problems would be completed on our instructional software. And this was made possible by generous donations from our ACES families. And each time they've asked, please allow me to remain anonymous throughout. And family support has been incredible throughout this entire year. And then we also held our class spelling bees, and the top 3 winners from each class will be competing in our school bee. 4th and 5th grade students will have it on January 20th, and middle school students on the 21st. It's going to be a hybrid Zoom and in-person bee, where the students that are the audience typically would be in the AACC. They'll be in their class watching via Zoom, and we'll use our cafeterias for the competition where they'll be able to spread apart. And those who are mobile, we're going to assign them a student that will support so they can come in through Zoom. Again, I'm proud of the work of the staff, the students, the families. Everybody's really living up to the theme of being stronger together and sticking together throughout this trying time. But we're really thriving, and I'm really happy that we're up to that data point in January where we know we'll get a real good picture of where we stand so far this year. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody, any questions? Okay, seeing as there's none, we want to thank you for the really informative report. And keep up the good work. It sounds very, very impressive. I guess I have one question.
Yep.
Have you identified a group of children that, for whatever reasons, your teachers don't think are going to make it this year?
Don't think they're going to make it in terms of
Passing.
passing? Well, we have our tier 3 RTI students. Yes, we've had them from the beginning of the year.
And are they all in brick and mortar learning?
If they're not already, we've invited all of them from day one, as soon as brick and mortar happened. Some of them have refused. As we approach the second semester, they're going to have to sign an affidavit that clearly states, I know this is detrimental to my students' learning. But we are giving them extra intervention even at home.
Okay, but you're taking care of the legal problems by having the parents sign the statements.
Absolutely. When our data analysis happens,
Children make up that group, Anthony.
our tier 3 students, we have 40 K through 8. The majority of them are also ESOL. And when we get down to the lower grades, kindergarten and first grade, they're really early language learners. But we have about 40 tier 3 students K through 8.
And how many of them are not in your building?
We have 2/3 of our tier 3 students are in the building. And I think I sent a full, I don't know if everyone received it, the full data breakdown of our ESOL learners and our RTI students. All right, I'll definitely resend that because it was part of our last, the state level spring request for innovative learning models. So part of that included a chart that broke down our learners, but I'll send that chart again and it will show who's on campus and who's not. It will change in the weeks to come because right now is when we start to say we don't ask anymore. We say you must come, and then they tell us no, and we give them the affidavit at that point.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Continue to do the great work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next report we have.
Mayor,
Yes.
may I just ask one question of Principal Tricala?
Absolutely.
Principal Tricala, would you just, for anyone listening this evening, would you just reiterate for us how you apply for this, for admittance to ACES and what the date and timelines are?
Absolutely. I want to be 100% accurate on the dates. So I'm going to pull up our website. So we have on our school website, there's an enrollment tab for prospective students. There we have a recording of an information session that I held with interested parents. And then also anyone who wants to ask questions, there's a link there that has a form where questions can be asked and it's sent directly to our enrollment manager. And all the information needed is there. It's January 15th is when the application opens. Anyone who wants to could start their registration now, but the application cannot happen until January 15th and it closes on February 12th. There's no advantage to doing it earlier or later. The lottery runs after the enrollment period. And then the system is completely online and everything happens through that portal.
And would you give us the website, please?
Yep. So aventuracharter.org, www.aventuracharter.org. There's a link that says enrollment, and prospective students is right there, and everyone can get all of the information needed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Friedland.
I received a message from, I guess, a constituent who's listening. And they're asking, since the expected number of COVID cases are to go up post these holidays, they're concerned about the on-campus testing, especially parents that didn't rush to bring their kids back yet to school. They're asking, are there accommodations for those parents who will just not bring their kids back out of concern?
Yes. So we scheduled it 2 weeks after the break to allow for that time. But anyone who doesn't come in, we need that diagnostic test. So absolutely, we will have a mobile option for everyone. But I'm going to be sending information to all mobile families soon to help them understand why. And the why is, one, if the student's first experience sitting down on campus is their real FSA test, I think that's pretty intimidating for them. Two, we need to work out the logistics of bringing our mobile students on campus to test. It only is a few months away, FSA testing. And then we want our students to really start to feel what it means to be in the building and around the building if they've been at home. But I'm sharing with mobile families specifically all of that information, and they'll also be able to reach out with any questions. But 100%, we need everyone to take the diagnostic, even if that means they need to stay home.
No, but I understand that their biggest concern is the fact it's actually scheduled 2 weeks after the return of school, when the number of cases would actually probably be the highest.
Yeah, I understand. It's our spring diagnostic timeframe. We're taking immense safety precautions. They'll be in the cafeteria 10 feet apart before school starts or after it ends. We're doing as much as we can for them, but 100% we understand some are more concerned than others, or some have very serious reasons why they're choosing not to come on campus, and we'll accommodate.
Is there anyone else who has a question? All right, then again, thank you, Mr. Tricala. Keep up the great work. And next is Don Sofer, Aventura High School update from Principal David McKnight. You're muted.
Can everyone hear me?
Now we can.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. Glad to be with you all this evening, and I'm excited to share with you in a different format. I'm going to have one of my students share our report with everybody. This ought to be fun and enjoyable. I would like to introduce to you Halib Panfilov. Halib is a 10th grade student here at Don Sofer Aventura High School. He is in the Cambridge program of Advanced Studies and is also a member of the Amnesty International Club, where he holds the office of secretary. He is also a member of the Best Buddies Club, as well as the Achieve Miami Club. So I'm gonna, without further ado, turn it over to Halib to present the school report for January.
Good evening, everyone. I'm proud and privileged to share with you the January school report. The school currently has 419 students enrolled. Currently, we have 221 students enrolled in the mobile platform and 198 students attending our school in person. To date, we have one reported case of a student who tested positive for COVID-19 that was enrolled in the in-person model. Our safety protocols in our classrooms and also in common areas of the school are well thought out and make me feel very safe as a student in attendance. The school recommitment process just began for currently enrolled students. It started yesterday and will end on February 5th. In just one day, 100 of our 419 families have completed this process. DSHS has hosted 5 informational sessions for those that are interested in learning more about our school. Currently, over 150 families have attended these sessions, either through Zoom or through responsible social distancing seating in our school's cafeteria. DSHS will continue to have these sessions through this month. The school is sending out its learning modality survey to all parents this week so that adjustments can be made for mobile and in-person learning for second semester. DSHS has started their NWEA mid-year testing when the window opened in December. We are now working on makeups for mobile learners, but approximately 80 to 85% have been tested in the areas of ELA, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Life Science. The teachers will now work on disseminating the data and determining where they need to reteach, as well as do small group instruction where students have learning gaps in already taught content. We have concluded the first phase of Cognia accreditation process. Prior to ending our interview, the lead interviewer on the team stated that she was extremely pleased by what she learned about the school and how much infrastructure has already been developed to support the students and the community in such a short period of time. Cognia was formerly known as the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, or SACS. Phase 1 involved the interviews with leadership, students, and teachers. Phase 2 will involve parent interviews this month. All students and teachers are members of a house. Throughout the year, each house earns points that supports rewards and acknowledgements to the greater school community. The Purpose House just received a donut party for donating the most toys during our Jewish Student Culture Club toy drive on Martin Luther King Day. In February, the Influencers Club is organizing a kindness challenge house competition where students will be asked to take picture or a video performing an act of kindness, an act of kindness or service. Then they will tag the school on social media sites. As students, we have been working on SARA program that prepares us for 11th grade SAT exam. We also have been working on the college and career readiness program called Naviance. We all had a great time during Spirit Week, the last week before the winter break. Students wore red and white for Candy Cane Day, their ugly holiday sweaters on another day, and their flannel shirts for Lumberjack Day. It was a great segue to our 2 weeks off. The Achieve Miami Club hosted a holiday book drive to support the love of reading in younger students within the Dade County. Our Parent-Teacher Coalition hosted a breakfast for our teachers during week of school prior to winter break, and the school administration hosted a lunch and a breakfast for the teaching team. We nominated and voted on student superlatives that will be showcased in the DSHS yearbook this year. Categories included most likely to make you laugh, social media king and queen, and most likely to win a Nobel Peace Prize. The school is gearing up to join the International Thespian Society, which was an outgrowth of a very active and successful drama club. That began at the beginning of the school year with Mr. Pabon, the school's drama and musical theater teacher, at the helm. Our Women's Empowerment Club created a wall of positive messages and sticky notes and encouraged students to take them, wear them, and share them to spread positivity throughout campus. Finally, our athletic department developed a CUDA vision so that those at home can watch games live or watch recordings of past games through the school's athletics YouTube channel. We have our boys and girls soccer teams in play, as well as our boys basketball team, games to round out our winter sports offering. And finally, as an in-person learner at DSHS, I truly value the school's commitment to the safety of its students. On top of that, I enjoy my classes and feel like they actually challenge me to do my very best. My ultimate goal is to complete my 7 Cambridge classes to obtain my Bright Future Scholarship, and I feel like this school really enables me to do that. DSHS is moving in the right direction, and we will become even better in the years to come. Thanks for listening.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Halib. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, that's right.
Do any commissioners have any questions for either Halib, or we're not letting the principal off the hook, or Mr. McKnight? Commissioner Narodsky.
Hi, Halib. Thank you so much. It's so cool that you came on, and Principal McKnight, we really enjoy a student. I know that you were involved in Amnesty International. I would just encourage you, for your own intellectual curiosity, just take a look. You can Google NGO Monitor and read its report about Amnesty International. I would just encourage you to be pretty well informed about that organization and the pros and cons of it. So that's just my comment. I want to thank you again for appearing, and I think it was really cool.
Great, thank you. I'll make sure to take a look at it.
Just Google NGO Monitor and read about Amnesty International.
Commissioner Friedland.
I just want to say something. Thank you, Habib, for being with us. And Principal McKnight, I was a visitor to your school just before the winter break. And I want to tell all the commissioners, because we don't get a chance to always talk, how impressed I was with the school and the platform and the education that he's providing to the children in our city. The Cambridge program, the AP program, and the tech programs that they are offering were really incredible. And the parents that were there were very impressed. So I think it's a wonderful thing that we have in our city right now.
Any other?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Okay, David, I'm going to ask you the same question. The students that you're worried about not being promoted to the next grade, how many are there, and what are your plans about the documented letter?
So we're trying to be proactive with the number of students that are struggling academically and getting parents involved. We're doing the same thing that Principal Tricala is doing at ACES related to the affidavit they need to sign. We're conveying that this month. That's a very important piece of what we're doing. Once parents take the survey and they state this week and they state whether they're going to be mobile or in person, we will look at the list and cross-reference it by the students that are struggling academically. And then we will have conversations with those families to attempt to get those students in the building as quickly as possible, ideally for second semester start on January 25th. So that is our protocol. We have about 25% of our population in tier 2 and about 5% of our population in tier 3. So, and our numbers are much smaller than Anthony's based on just the size of the school.
All right, but again, of the 221 students that are being educated mobily, how many of those students are we going to say, are we going to give the letter to that says you need to come back to brick and mortar because you're in danger of failing?
You're looking at about 10 to 15 students that are in danger academically in that group. So we will make sure that those students get communication, but we would like even students in tier 2 that are mobile to consider coming back into the school building for added support.
Okay, any commissioners, any questions for Mr. McKnight? Or was Ms. Friedland? Commissioner, no. Okay, all right. If there are no questioners, then David, thank you also. Thank you for the work that you're doing. I know these times have to be very challenging to be in a building dealing with all the issues that you're dealing with it, and we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
If Habib is still listening, we really appreciated you coming out and talking to us tonight. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. I have one thing already. I know that Commissioner Narotsky will be removing item B from the consent agenda. Is there anything else?
I had a comment, Mayor, about the consent agenda in addition to item B, and I don't know what the procedure is, so maybe I could ask it to you.
Give me a second. Just give me a
Yes.
second. I'll come back to you. Give me a second. Commissioner Marks.
I would like to pull item A, just the November 19 workshop meeting. And then item E and I.
From the consent agenda.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, then. If I have this right, what we are pulling is item E, the minutes from November 19th, and I'll ask you, Mr. Attorney, if we can separate an item by the component of the item.
Yes, Mayor, that would be fine.
Okay, then November 19th and item I. So
And
with
B.
the,
And B, that Commissioner Narotsky pulled.
no, he didn't pull D, he's
B, yeah,
B.
the legislative
Right.
program. He pulled,
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Then I need a motion to approve the remaining items, which are not A, November 19th minutes, B, E, and I. We're voting- Motion made by Commissioner Narotsky, seconded by Commissioner Dr. Linda Marks. Can I please ask the clerk for a roll call vote on the items that we are voting for?
Mayor, Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Naronsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now that brings me back to the minute, and we'll take them right in order. And Commissioner Naronsky, I'll give you a chance when we get past item A.
Okay, thank you.
If that will work. Okay, so the first item that has been pulled is the November 19th minutes on item A. Dr. Marks.
Okay, on page 3 of 3, regarding city manager summary. I would like to suggest that in line 2 that begins with the word Mr. Wasson, instead of the word adjustment, it should be increase. And I would like to remove the word annual because it's not an annual performance bonus. And I think that could be misleading.
Is there anyone else that wishes to talk to this item? Commissioner Shelley, Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, I think Dr. Marks, it is an annual bonus. I think that's what it is. It doesn't mean it's every year, but I think that's what it's titled, David. Is that correct? That it is an annual bonus? David?
Perhaps Mr. Reducci can answer as our CFO.
Okay.
I don't. Mr. Reducci,
Yes.
is it, did you hear Vice Mayor Shelley's comment?
Yeah, what I said, Brian, was I believe that what the city manager received was an annual bonus, not an annual bonus in perpetuity. Is that correct?
I guess I thought I was under the impression it was an increase going forward, but if that's not the case, we can adjust that.
Well, no, we're talking about where it says annual bonus
Performance.
or performance bonus. We're not talking about a salary increase.
Okay,
The
yes.
mayor?
That
Yeah,
would be,
Yes,
That's the $10,000 bonus for the year. That's why it says annual. So I think it's
Correct.
fine the way it's written.
That's what I said, Dr. Marks.
It doesn't affect, the bonus does not affect, the bonus does not guarantee that bonuses will be made in future years. That's up to the commission each year.
Doesn't
And
the
does that-
language,
and
doesn't
does that
the
bonus-
language and,
Wait a minute. Doc. And does that bonus go to base salary?
No, it's separate. It's
Okay, Dr. Marks.
The bonus.
that's why my question was.
Whereas the
that's what-
3%, the $10,000 bonus for the year. And whereas the percentage increase, that's something that's a salary increase.
That's correct.
Right. So it is the annual bonus given for this year. Doesn't mean there'll be a one for a following year.
Can we use the word 2021? Because I think it could be
Yes, that's
construed
fine.
that the word annual may be something that's expected yearly. And I know
You could
that is
say,
something,
you could say 2021
performance bonus.
for clarification. It's not required, but you could certainly vote to clarify that.
2020 would be the year.
Right.
Okay, so, Mr. Attorney, I guess I have to ask you, do we need to vote on how many people?
Yes,
will change the wording?
right. Just a simple, a motion to adjust that wording as just discussed, may be made as a motion and then voted upon.
Do I have anyone who wants to make that motion?
Make the motion.
Commissioner Marks? Can I have a second? Commissioner Shelley? Is there anyone who would like to discuss it further? Then I'll ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner
On
Evans,
the minutes of November 19th, item A.
Mayor, did you want to open this item up for public comment?
City Attorney?
Strictly a clarification, so in my opinion, it's not necessary.
Okay, great. Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. The next item we're going to look at is item B. And Commissioner Narodsky, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I do this yearly. It's just clause 11, due to the appearance of a potential conflict as it relates to my professional duties as a mediator. I just want to recuse myself for only clause 11. I do support the rest of our priorities.
So, Mr. Attorney.
So I don't know. Yeah, how do I do that on
Yeah,
Zoom?
Mr. Attorney, we need some help on this.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. At this time, I will read the title of that resolution, and then the commission would then you'd be able to call for a motion approving the legislative packet, except for item number 11 on the list of legislative items. So if okay with you at this time, I'd like to read the title of the resolution.
Well, my understanding is that if Commissioner Narodsky is recusing himself from the item, he needs to turn himself off from the screen and any,
Right,
you know, and
he'll be doing that at
conversation
he'll be doing that at the second part of this item. After you
Okay.
all have voted on this first part, he will then leave the room for the second part, which
All right,
would
well,
be,
let me ask for a motion to vote on item B with the exception of number 11,
Motion.
made by Commissioner Landman, seconded by Commissioner Evans.
And-
Again, we're looking at item B, all except for number 11.
correct, Mayor, and if I may, at this time, read the title of that resolution.
Please.
Thank you. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, adopting the City of Aventura 2021 legislative program and priorities attached here too, authorizing the city manager to take necessary action to carry out the aims of this resolution and providing for an effective date.
Okay. Is there anyone that wishes to address this item? If not, I'm going to ask the city clerk to do a roll call vote on all of the items except 11.
Sorry for interrupting, Mayor, if I may. If you could also ask the city clerk just to open this item for public comment, being it's a legislative program in accordance with our procedure.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, any members of the public wishing to comment on this item, please use your raise hand icon at this time. If you're on a phone, press *9. And I'm not seeing any comments at this time.
Okay, then I'm going to close it for public comment and I'm going to ask for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans,
You're muted.
You're muted.
Demute. Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we're looking at number 11 on B.
Right, so
Commissioner Narodsky's recused himself. I'm going to ask the city manager to read number 11.
Thank you, Mayor. Item 11 states amend safe harbor provisions, Florida statutes 718-.116, 1B, condos, and section 720.308.5, 2C, HOAs to increase the liability of qualified lending institutions to the lesser of 24 months of past due assessments or 2% of the original mortgage in the event of a foreclosure, plus recovery of reasonable attorney fees.
Okay, thank you. Is there any commissioner that would like to address this item? Okay, seeing as that there are none, I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote on item number 11.
I'm sorry, Mayor, was there a motion on this to approve just item 11? I didn't capture it if we did.
I'm not sure. This is a little unusual.
Yes.
If
Okay.
not, Commissioner Landman makes the motion, Commissioner Evans seconds it.
Great. And you wanted me to open this up to the public?
On item 11 only.
Item
Please.
11 only. If there are any members of the public who would like to comment on just item 11 on this item, please use the please press your icon to raise your hand at this time. If you're on a phone, please press *9. Mayor, I'm not seeing any comments.
Okay, then may I ask you to do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Freeland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Dr. Marks?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
Mayor Weissman?
Yes,
Commissioner Narotsky is absent. The motion passes.
thank you. Can you please notify Commissioner Narotsky he can come back?
Yes.
Mayor, if I may, did somebody pull letter E?
Yes.
Yes,
Good, okay, thank you.
yes. I'm waiting for Commissioner Narotsky.
I am back.
Okay, good.
How'd it
Okay, the
go?
next item we have that's been pulled is item E. So let me ask for a motion to bring item E to the floor. Made by Commissioner Shelley, seconded by Dr. Linda Marks. Okay,
Mayor,
Dr. Marks, you pull,
I'm sorry, Mayor, at this time, can I read that resolution title for the record of item E?
I think we all can read it, but yeah, if you feel it's important, it's
Yes.
on the record.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, providing for a submission to the electors of the proposed amendments to the city charter as provided by the Charter Revision Commission in accordance with section 706 of the city charter, consisting of proposed charter amendments concerning paragraph C, limitations on length of service of section 203, election and term of office, and section 703, conflicts of interest, ethical standards, and section 706, charter revision of the city charter, providing requisite ballot language for submission to the electorate, calling a special election on the proposed amendments to the city charter to be held on Tuesday, the 27th day of April, 2021, providing notice of election, providing for mail ballot election, providing for inclusion in the charter, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Marks, you pulled it, so I'll give you the first opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. I think this is, first of all, it's my understanding that a committee worked very, very hard on this and came up with some very valuable recommendations. And I think to have approved this without discussing it and identifying what those items are just, really is minimizing the work that was done. And I would like to know if either our city manager or our city attorney could update us on what exactly they're recommending.
Mayor, may I do that?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Briefly, under our city charter, the Charter Revision Commission every 5 years reviews the city charter. And after review, they propose those amendments that they find are necessary, if any. And after diligent work, the Charter Revision Commission has set forth 3 proposals. Those proposed amendments of the city charter are naturally subject to approval of the majority of the voters of the city. The actual text of the 3 charter amendments set forth in strikeout and underlined format is included in this proposed resolution. But I think it's easiest to go over the 3 actual ballot questions that would be placed in front of the voters and what the voters would actually see on the ballot. And those 3 questions would be as follows. First, there would be one set forth on page 4 entitled Revised Term Limits Provision Concerning Service as Commissioner by a Term Limited Mayor. The city charter currently requires a 4-year break in service in order for a person who has served 8 consecutive years as mayor to be eligible to run for election as commissioner. The Charter Revision Commission proposes that the charter be amended to eliminate that 4-year required break in service under those circumstances and to allow combined mayoral and commission service for up to 16 consecutive years. Shall the charter amendment be adopted? And it has yes or no. This was provided by the Charter Revision Commission to basically treat a term limited mayor the same way that a term limited commissioner is presently treated. Right now, if a commissioner serves the maximum amount of 8 consecutive years, they are allowed to run for mayor without having to wait and sit out for 4 years. So this is a fairness type provision that would give the same benefit to a term limited mayor. So that's what the voters would actually see on their ballot. And naturally, they could always look at the exact strike through and underlying language of the charter text, which this ballot shows the chief purpose of. That's number one. Number two is enhancement of ethics provisions. The city charter currently provides for the adoption of ethics standards. The Charter Revision Commission proposes that the charter be amended to further enhance ethics standards by requiring that any member of the city commission who is an officer or governing board member of a community association, which association litigating against the city, shall resign from such association position and requiring the adoption of a city implementing ordinance. Shall the charter amendment be adopted? And likewise, yes or no. This was proposed as an enhanced ethics mechanism to assure that someone who serves as a board member or officer of a condominium association, homeowners association, or like association would leave that association position if that association was suing or maintaining litigation against the city entity itself. It was proposed as an enhanced ethics provision by the members. The third proposed amendment, as reflected in the ballot provision at the top of page 5, is item 3, amendment to timing of periodic city charter review and revision process. The city charter currently provides for the periodic review of the charter by the Charter Revision Commission every 5 years. The Charter Revision Commission proposes that the charter be amended to revise the periodic review cycle to be conducted every 6 years to better conform to the city's election cycle and to allow more flexible timing of charter amendment special elections. Shall the charter amendment be adopted? Likewise, yes or no boxes provided. The Charter Revision Commission recommended this because right now under the current charter, they had a very short timeline where they basically had to do all of their work quickly from their appointment in November and complete it before January 1st. And yet an election does not come up at this time. So the 6-year cycle will put things on a better track while still giving the commission flexibility as to the calling of special elections. So for example, this proposed resolution provides for the ballot text, provides for the charter amendment text proposed by the Charter Revision Commission, including these specific ballot questions. And the Charter Revision Commission has recommended that a mail ballot election be utilized for this for April 27th of this year. That way, any of these that are adopted and blessed by the electors would be in place well before the city's next election cycle. And it's proposed as a mail ballot election due to the continuation of the COVID era. And likewise, it's closely coordinated with the Dade County Supervisor of Elections because they run the mail ballot election. And they've done that before for the city of Aventura over the years when we've had several city charter amendments over the years. I hope that, sufficiently lays out the provisions.
Okay, then I will go back to Dr. Marks.
I would like to ask Attorney Wolpen to please clarify. There are actually 3 members right now, and I don't know, maybe there's more. I don't know if Commissioner Evans also serves, but there are 3 members who serve on condo boards. And so I want to understand and clarify this. And I believe what it's saying is that should an association choose to file suit against the city, then the commissioner who may be sitting on a board must resign the position at the condo board, not on the commission. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's strictly correct. They would not have to resign their city position. They would simply be resigning their condominium or homeowner association position. And if this amendment is adopted by the electors, the city commission would subsequently be creating an ordinance to spell out any procedures, such as giving notice to the commissioner that happens to be serving on a association board, as well as other procedures. But they would not have to resign their position with the city. It would simply be to resign their position with the association, be that an officer of the association or a board member with that association.
And so Attorney Wolpen, is this something that's common practice in cities, or is this an unusual recommendation?
This is a unique provision that was recommended by the recommended by the members of the board. It was brought up by a board member, and the other board members favored it.
Commission.
Is it
members.
required that the commission
We're talking about the committee
approve?
members.
I'm sorry, couldn't hear you, Mayor.
We're talking about the committee members.
Right,
not
the
board.
committee members, the Charter Revision Commission, the board, right, the Charter Board.
But
Mayor,
this is,
if I can ask a question?
I
Oh, I'm
see your
sorry,
hand.
Doctor.
I'm just waiting for Dr. Marks to finish.
I'm sorry.
yeah. So to clarify, this is simply recommendation, and the commission can choose to accept
No.
this.
That's what I want to bring up. No, the answer is
No.
no.
Let's
That's what I
wait.
want to talk about.
Let's wait, because Bob, I'm going to get to you as soon as she puts a dot on the end of her sentence.
Period.
If I can answer that,
All
no,
Wait, David, I told Vice Mayor he's next. Okay, and then you can clarify. Vice Mayor Kelly.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted, exactly what I was going to bring up. I find the system, I don't have an objection, or I do, but it's irrelevant because to me, I don't know why somebody would have to resign their seat as a committee member if they something else sues, but be that as it may, this to me is really an injustice to us, the commissioners of a city that run the city, yet a group of people can change the bylaws, they can change the rules, they can change anything they want. And we as commissioners have absolutely no ability to object to it, have input into it, or change what they're doing. And I believe, David, I don't know legally what we can and can't change, but I believe somehow the city commission should have some kind of a veto issue or an input to these kind of changes, because why would a group of people that don't serve right now on this commission have the ability to make decisions that affect the lives of the commissioners, the city that we run, and yet we have no say in it?
Mayor, if I could address
Yes.
that?
City Attorney.
Right, under our city charter, the Charter Revision Commission has the power to formulate proposed charter amendments and have them put on the ballot. And then naturally, it's up to the voters of the city whether to approve or reject them.
I understand. So what would the process?
Well, if I can finish, in many other city charters, charter boards merely recommend. However, the way our charter is written, the charter boards have actual power to have something placed on the ballot. However,
So,
in this provision,
when
if I
would
can
it be-
finish,
I understand what you're, I understand. what you're saying.
Wait a
In
minute.
this-
We're following Robert's Rules of Order. Vice Mayor, I will get to you again as soon as the city attorney finishes.
Yeah, in this provision, I built in a safety valve that even if the voters approve this charter amendment, it's still up to the city commission to create an implementing ordinance. And that's a key provision. Right in the text of this charter amendment, it states that if this amendment is adopted, it would be the job of the commission to create an implementing ordinance. It says the city commission shall by ordinance adopt provisions which shall comprehensively govern the implementation of this paragraph. In other
Okay.
words, there'll be an ordinance that'll make sure that this charter amendment, if the voters
David,
bless it.
I appreciate what you're saying, David, but that's meaningless to me. Once this is approved by the voters, we can put anything we want into a stipulation as to how it's done. However, the fact is, if somebody sits on a condo board and the condo board sues the city, whatever the additional language is, that person must resign his seat. Am I correct?
That's correct, but there'll have to be
Thank you.
proper
So therefore,
notice. And
that's the
but-
point. of it.
It's
So nice
correct
what
if
you're
the
saying.
voters approve it.
Right, and one other
Yes,
part
so-
to
Let me
address.
finish, David. Let me finish. David,
So-
I hear what you're saying, but I'm not dumb. I know what you're saying.
All right, no, I know that.
David, please. I know
Go
what you're
right ahead.
saying. You're
The
missing
The
the
rules
point.
are for everybody, Mr. Attorney, so please let the vice mayor continue.
You're missing the point I'm making. It's nice what you put in, but it is absolutely meaningless to change the charter revision that's being voted on by the public. You can augment it, you can make pretty language, you can do whatever you want to it, but we have to abide by that amendment. So the point is, there is no stopgap in this, and there is no protection for this commission. So what I'm asking you is, what do we have to do so this can't happen in the future?
Right.
You'd have to, I will give you the answer. You would have to change our charter.
Right.
And it's not the legal answer, but it's the short to the chase
And
answer.
that's the
is that
point. And
Our charter can be changed only two ways. Number one, it can be changed by something that the commission comes up with that they want to put to the voters. It also has to go on a ballot. Okay. And the second way it can be changed is through the Charter Revision Committee. And those are the only two provisions. So I think simply, if the commission at some point workshop wants to proffer a change to that part of the charter, Mr. Attorney, I think would help draft that resolution if that would be the will of the commission, correct?
That's correct. The city commission,
Could we then, at this time, while this amendments are going to the public for a vote, add that charter amendment to the amounts of these items going to the vote of the people?
Mr. Attorney.
Yeah. First, you'd have the right to, as an individual commissioner, you'd have the right to campaign against and speak out against
I don't want
the
to
merits
campaign.
of the
That's
charter.
not what I'm
Let me
asking.
finish.
I'm
Let
not
me finish
asking you that
answering.
question. I'm not
And all-
asking you that
well,
question.
Yeah, you can
I'm
amend the
asking you a
city.
specific question. Can we, at this time, add something to the ballot that's going to be proposed for a vote that gives us the ability to change our charter?
The answer
Mr.
is,
Attorney.
yes, thank you, Mayor. You cannot amend the charter amendment that is set forth in this resolution. However, you may propose by ordinance a different charter amendment, one that either negates this provision if adopted, or provides that future charter amendments of the board of the Charter Revision Commission are simply recommendations. But you could have a competing charter amendment by ordinance that negates this proposed measure. And then if that's done and they're on the same, it could be on the same ballot or it could be on a later one after you see what happens with this. If they're on the same ballot, it would be the one that gets the most affirmative votes would take effect. So yes, you can by ordinance propose an amendment to the charter. It requires 5 affirmative votes of the commission to create a proposed charter amendment by ordinance. But yes, you can do that.
Okay, I see my city manager has his hand up, but
Sorry.
Vice Mayor,
I
I
just
don't
want to
know.
know what would the time frame be for us to have to do that? That's all I'm asking.
City Attorney,
Yeah, the time frame would be, we'd have to coordinate with the county elections department to see when they would need that ordinance adopted in advance of how many days in advance of the April 27th proposed election date of this resolution that we would need. They would likely say they need it sometime in February. So, for example, if you wanted a proposed charter amendment that would negate this, you could put it on the same ballot Or you could see if this is adopted and then take action
Now,
at a subsequent election.
what is the deadline of putting it on the same ballot as an example?
Yeah, normally it's 60 days before the election, but we'd have to coordinate with the county. It used to be a
And
hard
the
and fast rule.
election, when is the election, David?
April 27th is the proposed date
Of what year?
of this year, April
Okay.
27th, 2021.
Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor, are we,
So
you
I'm
got
just
it.
saying, what would we have to do, Mayor, to,
I understand what you're asking perfectly.
good,
Yeah,
so
I understand
could we,
perfectly.
can we put this on our February agenda or do it on the workshop first? So we can vote to, if we get 5 votes, to have a contradictory amendment put onto this. But I want to also think about, and I'd like wording from you, David, as to how we might want to modify our charter so the commission, more importantly, has input before these become a fait accompli that we have no say in.
Right, and that would be an amendment to section 706 of the city charter.
And when
Right,
would we
that-
have, so if
that
you
would
could
be another-
give us
that would-
language for the next
That would
workshop.
also require an ordinance.
I understand.
Okay,
what
so
I'm
city
asking you is-
manager.
So what I'm asking you, could
City
you
manager,
give us?
the vice mayor
information
is,
language? I'm
the
sorry.
vice mayor is asking you if you will put it on the workshop.
Yes, and I think Commissioner Shelley is asking is how do we make the Charter Revision Commission an advisory board to the commission? Is that what we're going for?
Yes.
Okay. I think that's,
And
Right,
also,
I think we can handle it.
also, I would like to see in this particular item, it doesn't really affect any of us today, but one never knows. And I don't know that it's too open-ended with no way to come up with language that could have some kind of compromise language, because it's a fait accompli. Once this goes through, if just say the point decides to sue the city, Dr. Marks has to resign her job at the point. And that's not necessarily fair because she's the president there. So what I'm saying is I would like to see what we can do to possibly modify this language, maybe with the approval of the Rules Committee, but somehow on the same agenda item, have contradictory language or commit, whatever it is. I'd like to have something at the workshop that gives us the ability to possibly modify this language.
Okay, I think that the attorney and city manager have agreed. Yes?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I need,
Work something
okay,
out.
and Dr. Marks.
So first of all, let me just clarify that the point has no interest in suing the city. So this doesn't personally.
I didn't think so.
The reason I pulled this from the consent agenda and the reason that I asked for a discussion is actually, I believe, more important, and that is why didn't Attorney Wolpen, are we being asked to vote on something that we have no authority to not vote on? Why isn't it just something that skips a vote? Because what if this commission chooses not to approve, not to vote for this item, then what happens? Because there are other items in here that make a lot of sense. For example, I'm the one that brought this forward to the item of equalizing the issue of if you're formerly spending 8 years as a commissioner, then you can immediately run for mayor. So I brought up the equalization to this Charter Review Committee, and that was, I believe strongly that if we have it one way, we have to have it the other way, which means the mayor also should have an opportunity to immediately run. So having said that, there are certain things in the recommendation that to me are very, very important. But my question, I wanted to hear the discussion first. Why are we voting when we have no authority to approve this item or not approve this item?
Mayor, if I may address that.
City
Right.
attorney,
It's a
The reason you're voting.
wait a
the
minute, it's
reason-
hard when both of you are talking. So Linda, you want to finish the question
Yeah.
so that David can answer it?
Part B of my question is this: if there is a 60-day requirement, I'm wondering if we have a January workshop scheduled, and I'm wondering, this would have to be discussed at a workshop or at a commission meeting. And you'll answer it, Attorney Wolpen, when you answer, my other question, because I'm wondering if we shouldn't maybe schedule a commission meeting for either before or immediately after, if it has to be a commission meeting that we're talking about. So my two questions, just to sum up: A, why are we voting when we have no choice? And then B, maybe this should go on either a commission or a workshop meeting, whichever one will allow us to do what we may be interested in doing in January instead of February. And thank you very much. And I am done talking.
Mayor, just
City
to,
Attorney.
thank you, Mayor. The reason you have this before you is that our charter requires that the proposals of the Charter Revision Commission be adopted by resolution for placing on the ballot. That's the procedure that state law mandates. To place something on the ballot, a resolution may be adopted. However, the charter allows you to determine when the election would be held in coordination with the county supervisor of election. For example, you could say that this is not going to go on the ballot until the May 2022 elections. What I would recommend in this case is that this matter that action not be taken on this at this time, and that instead the matter be remanded, sent back to the Charter Revision Commission for further review in light of the input that the commissioners have made tonight. The Charter Revision Commission issued their report on December 9th, 2020. Tonight is the first time I've heard any opposition to their proposals. Based on the meetings held by that Charter Revision Commission board, I feel they would want the chance to revisit this and see if they'd like to change any of their proposals. So at this time, I'd recommend you remand this matter to the
Mr.
Charter
Attorney.
Revision.
Mr. Attorney, I might suggest something that's simpler, just like we did with our legislative agenda. This is 3 parts and you read 3 separate ballot items. Can we
Correct.
approve the 2 that there seems to be approval for and finish the sentence, Commissioner Marks, because I don't know really what to put on the end of it, but we don't have to, I don't think that we have to send everything back to an appointed commission, to an appointed committee. We could just ask their help on that one item.
100%. I would absolutely support approving the 2 items where I believe there's support. I don't know until we take a vote, and remanding the one back with providing our input, and maybe even asking, 1 or 2 people to come and speak before the group.
Wait a minute,
or
I
whatever.
will say this, you can attend the meeting. You can attend the Charter Revision Commission meeting, committee meeting. They're in the
correct.
sunshine,
Bob.
they're noticed, and anybody can. Vice Mayor
That's correct.
Shelley.
All right, if I may, and I'm fine with what's going with that. I'm very good with that. However, what I would like to also have done, David, which is one of the more important items, is I want language given to the commission of how and what we have to do, so we have input and they become an advisory board, or they can be what they are, but subject to the commission's approval, not rubber stamp. So I say approve the 2 out of the 3, that's fine. But as far as the date this goes out, why can't we delay it a month or 2 so we have time to get language from David, changing maybe the R bylaws so we do have input as to their comments, and also give them an opportunity to make a change to the one that we have a problem with.
City Attorney.
Yeah, to change the existing process to make the board merely recommend and not actually create proposed amendments, you'd have to have an ordinance and you'd have to have a charter amendment election voted on by the people. So
That's
if you
okay.
wanted, so for
And that's,
example.
I'm fine with that. That's what I'm
so
asking.
that would be a proposed charter amendment. That could be
I agree.
discussed
I'm
at a
asking,
further
I'm
meeting.
asking for you to give us language that we can review, and if
Yeah, that would be a revision of, that could be discussed at a workshop. That would be a revision
right,
of
that's,
charter
I'm
section
You got it.
That's, I'm
706.
I'm fine with what the mayor said about eliminating one of the 3, but I'd like this item, looking into the revision of the charter, worked on at a workshop so we have time to discuss it.
And I thought that the city manager already and the attorney already agreed to that, Bob.
Yeah, but I didn't hear that from David
I
yet.
think,
I want to confirm
I
that's what's
didn't
coming.
either, but I thought they'd agreed.
We will work something out.
And we
Okay.
could have that discussed at the workshop.
Yeah,
the
but
question-
I don't want,
Well,
I
wait a minute,
understand.
no. What Vice Mayor Shelley asked was that the city manager schedule it on the workshop.
Right,
Correct.
There's no maze, there's
No,
no.
it is.
He
It would
shall,
be.
and he
Right.
agreed to it, right? So
It-
it will be scheduled at our next workshop, which, Ms. City Clerk, do we have the date?
January 21?
21st, yep.
February 21 is our next.
January.
Maybe,
January.
January, thank you, that's much better. I was gonna say, if it's February, we need to have a special workshop. But if it's January 21, that's where we will have this discussion, correct?
That's all I'm asking. Yes, thank you.
Mayor, that's correct.
Yes.
We will, if I may, we will discuss at that time Charter Section 706 amendment, which would be the process of the charter amendment review. The question is, and I know the city clerk wants to give input also, but the question is, do you want to hold this whole item at this time,
No.
being we
No.
may want to revise the election date? Or do you
Yes,
want
yes,
to?
we do. Dr. Marks, you may want
Wait
to
a minute,
revise the election
wait a
date.
minute, Vice Mayor, wait a minute. The city clerk's had her hand up a long time.
I apologize.
I just wanted to let you all know, since you did discuss it, the election department requires 90 days, not 60 days, between the time there's a finalized resolution or ordinance in order to prepare for an election. So kind of keep that in mind during your discussions. It's 90 days from whenever you would finalize that, whatever.
And we would have to change the date.
Right, so Mayor, it may be best to table this item and workshop the proposed charter amendment concerning section 706 at the January 21 workshop.
Can I ask, sorry,
Commissioner Cleveland.
going back to exactly what Dr. Mark said, then could we cipher out the provisions that aren't at issue? So that those don't delay going on
Then
the
there's
April
only
ballot?
one. There's only
Right, the
one
only-
issue left.
There's only one in question that I've heard so far is the ethics provision concerning service on a community association. You could theoretically remove that from this resolution, prove the rest of it. However, the resolution has the April 27
But you
election
have, that's
date.
what I'm saying.
That date's not going to work. So therefore, I'd recommend you table the whole
You
item.
have to.
And at the workshop, we consider an amendment to Charter Section 706. It may end up being that the Charter Board on their own decides to amend Section 706 as you have in mind.
If they do, that would be, and they have a chance between now and the workshop. to do that.
Now, this is, like I said before, and the mayor pointed out, the meetings of the Charter Board were all properly noticed and all properly open to the public. And their report was issued back on December 9th. And this is the first I've heard of any opposition at all. So if this proceeding tonight has been a bit choppy, it's because nothing was brought up until right now. So I'd recommend this item be tabled and the workshop item be set as you've directed.
I
Thank
will
you.
just say on behalf of the entire commission, it has not been easy having commission meetings and workshops via Zoom in this pandemic and receiving reports that we're not discussing in a workshop, because there was no workshop where that report was discussed to my knowledge.
Exactly.
Okay,
Exactly.
so
Correct.
this has not been easy for anybody, and I
Exactly.
don't want anyone to leave with the idea that that the commission is not doing their job and doing their due diligence. Commissioner
That's correct.
Evans.
Yeah,
Evans.
yes, I just wanted to mention that I think the founders of the city initially wanted to keep items from this special committee separate from the commission. It was there, they wanted to make sure that there was a body that recommended separate from the commission. I think that was one of their aims, to be honest. I've heard it come up several times. So I want to bear that in mind, what the history of this thing is. Thank you.
That's correct.
Commissioner Dr. Linda Marks.
So, Attorney Wolpen, allow me to just state that I think that this commission is extremely diligent about looking at items that come before it. And we have not had an opportunity in any way to discuss this. And I understand that you haven't heard anything before today, but we haven't had the report or an opportunity to discuss this until today. And I would commend the commission for taking the time to look carefully at everything. And even if it means that we have to tweak something, so be it. Because I would rather have the commission thoroughly review something than to just pass something. And again, and I go back to my very basic question, what if this commission does not vote to approve this? What if they just vote to approve it? Does it go through anyway?
Right, you have, under your charter, you have the duty to place it on the ballot, but you are in control of what election it goes on. You could wait until the May 2022 election. You
Not
are
asking
mandated.
about a date. She's asking about what, if the commission, after our workshop, absolutely does not want to approve it. Do we, it still goes on the ballot, or
Correct.
does
That's
something
correct.
else happen?
That would have to go on the ballot, but you could propose your own competing version that would negate it. You could, but it has to, you have that duty. You have the duty.
Correctly, I understand the duty, but if Vice Mayor Shelley's item gets workshopped, and we come up with, I think you said a resolution or an ordinance, all right?
An ordinance for your own proposal.
An ordinance?
Correct.
That may resolve part of the problem.
Right, and that ordinance has to go on the
Right, Bob?
ballot also. That goes on the ballot. you
Yes,
know?
of course.
All right, and the other option, if I heard Attorney Wolpin correctly, is this. It's possible that if we want to get this on the April ballot, which is what, April 11th?
We
April
can't,
27th.
Dr. Marks. We don't have time.
Because we would have to have a meeting by the 11th of this month,
Yeah,
right?
you don't have time for
You
that.
need 90 days.
I just want to make a point.
Do
We did
have
receive this on December 16th.
1 second, one person at a time. It's very hard.
Do we have any option, since this is going to be a mail ballot anyway because of Zoom, because of the COVID and everything, can we select a different date, May, June, for example, to have an election, a city election in our city?
I believe you can with the approval of the elections department.
Correct, that's right. The county elections department has to approve the date of any special election.
Okay.
Like I stated before, if I may, if this item is tabled and the workshop item is scheduled, and let's say you propose an amendment of Charter Section 706 on the amendment process, or you propose an amendment to this, it may well be the Charter Board would reconsider its recommendation and come up with a new recommendation. They haven't received any input.
Commissioner
From the
Friedland
commission.
and Vice Mayor Shelley.
I seems like everyone seems very surprised, but I know we got this in December 16th from Mr. Watson. He sent it all to us.
We are not allowed to discuss it, Commissioner Friedland, until we all get together.
Right, but I don't know if anyone spoke to him about it because he said if there were any questions about it.
I spoke to the city manager about this.
Listen, can I just say,
Yes,
I think we have some consensus for a workshop to work on the language that would be acceptable to change, I guess, the format of what the Charter Review Commission actually does, and to work on the charter or the recommended change to the charter of having somebody removed from a board if there's litigation. So I think we can get that done and we can get it in the time frame. I do think that we're probably that April date is gonna have to be moved back or forfeited at this point.
And there's no big deal to moving the date.
And
It's
it's
not a big
really,
deal.
you know what? We're hustling. We have time. We just
Exactly.
get back.
Okay,
We have time.
Mr. Attorney, I have a motion on the floor to approve Resolution E. Okay, so if we're yes, take it.
I'm saying you can entertain a motion to table the item.
Well,
and that would
that's
take precedence.
what I'm asking for. I'm
Right.
asking for somebody to make.
I'll
a
make that motion to
Thank
table
you
this
very
item.
much. Motion made to table item E in the consent agenda. Can I have a second? Seconded by Commissioner Landman. Is there anyone that wants to discuss? I don't think you discussed tabling emotions, just.
That's correct. That's correct,
just a
Mayor.
vote. Okay, so can I ask the city clerk for a vote, for a roll call vote?
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Mark,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, that brings us to the last item on the consent agenda, and it's item I. Mr. Attorney, would you like to read it?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, awarding and letting a bid contract for RFP number 2007-23-3, City of Aventura on-demand transportation services to Be Free LLC, doing business as Free B, in accordance with the RFP document, authorizing the city manager to execute the attached associated contract, authorizing the city manager to take necessary and expedient action to carry out the aims of this resolution, and providing for an effective date.
Okay, thank you. It was pulled by Commissioner Dr. Linda Mark, so I'm going to give the floor to you.
So just a couple of items in the contract. Page 1 of page 18, and it's item 1.1. And it says the city is in need of an independent contractor. And I don't know that we're in need of it. We desire one.
Okay.
So I didn't know if that was something that was important or not important, but I thought I would just ask because we're being asked to approve a contract. So that was the first item I wanted to talk about. Page 2 of 18, we have been given a contract that does not have a date filled in. So I want to make sure that somebody remembers to fill the date in on page 2 of 18.
Yes, okay, we'll get that.
I had 2 other questions. I couldn't find it, doesn't mean it's not here. Is there any requirement for background checks on the employees? And if so, can someone tell me where that is?
It might not be literally in here, but it is a requirement for that company, and we can definitely have it inserted into this.
So I would ask that you please insert the background check. And then what would you just bring out to the public and again to the commission? I couldn't find it, but I'm sure that part should be in here, and that's the termination clause.
I was going to ask the same thing, yeah.
Because I couldn't find it, but that doesn't mean it's not here.
It's definitely in there. It's, we both can terminate with cause or without cause, with 30 days notice to either
Can
party.
you just tell me where to find that one
Where is
item?
that?
Well, you're only executing a 12-month agreement.
Right, but what happens if after a month it's an absolute disaster?
Where is it?
Yeah, we have that termination clause that the manager referenced.
30 days either side?
Yeah,
Could you just tell me where to find that?
it's in section 12.2 on page 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there, 12.2. We always include that. It's a termination clause.
That's fine. That's fine. I overlooked that, so I appreciate your pointing that out. And then just those couple of little things, if we could, just tweak it a little bit so that before we, just know that we would tweak it and then approve it. Very much. I'm done.
Is there anyone else?
I'm done, I'm sure.
Is there anyone else that wishes to address item I?
Just one question, Mayor.
Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, Ron, you had sent out a revised map, which replaces page 18.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure everybody know, the page 18 originally came out with a CAD drawing or a CAD scrolling of the target area or the core area. And it kind of left out a big chunk of Point East, which is one of our target areas, and it left out Williams Island. So it was sent out, recopied on, so you could see it a little bit clearer on a nice color copy. I sent it out this afternoon, but it really does highlight a very large area of the city is the core area where people will be able to call for the service and go pretty much anywhere in Aventura.
On that
Vice
map,
Mayor Shelley.
I'm sorry, yeah, on that map, unless I'm misreading it, it looked like it was eliminating some of the areas up near the school, but I may have misread that.
Yeah, there's nothing over by the school. The core area is the south part of the city. When you
Okay.
when you go to, and I say south, it's almost it's up to the Lehman Causeway and a little bit.
So
past
it doesn't cover like where Target is or where Best Buy is or the
No.
school or
Just so
those
you
areas.
know, if you pick up a ride, you signal for the ride in the core area, you can go anywhere in Aventura. You can ask for a ride back, and you can go anywhere in Aventura back into the core area. So in other words, if you're coming out of the core, you can go anywhere in the city, and you can go back to anywhere
so
in the core area.
To clarify that, if I'm in Target and I want it, I can call them and they will come pick me up at Target and take me back to the core area?
Yes. So
Thank
take
you.
it back to where it's at.
I just want to make sure because it wasn't on the map. Thank you.
Mayor,
Commissioner Landon.
yes, but to clarify, if I'm in Target and I want to go to the waterways, they won't take you because it's not enough distance.
Yes.
Correct.
And don't forget, it's a pilot program, so this is the build out. We're going to capture a lot of data in that area, and it'll determine if you want to expand it or continue with it.
Commissioner Marks.
My question regarding the target area, as opposed to simply, utilizing the entire area, our city's very small, is that are we essentially kind of using city money for only one area? And our other residents, anybody north of the Lehman Causeway is going to say, why can't I have this opportunity? Have we thought this through?
Well, I can answer only that, we're using CIT money, transportation money for this. It's a pilot program. You could probably use that argument about a lot of things that we do that maybe falls into one area that could be seen as benefiting one side of the city than the other. I think the fact that you have to start somewhere, and we're going to start with 2 vehicles in a target area, and I think if it goes well, it would probably lead to additional cars going different places. But you have to kind of start with someplace. And the most residents.
Talking 12 months though, Ron? Would we have to wait 12 months?
12 months is the target, maybe less. It depends on the data we get out of the program.
But how are you going to, last question, how are you going to get data when it might be that the condos north of the Lehman Causeway may use it even more than the condos south of I don't know if that's necessarily accurate data.
You do capture a lot of data in the programming, and I know I have Jason from Freebie that could probably talk to a little more of the data and how it's looked at to drive that decision.
Well, let me ask you a question. Since we're having a workshop, would it be possible for Jason to come to the workshop and go over with all of us what the options at the same workshop, and go over what this is and how it's going to impact? And it would also give the public an opportunity to weigh in on something they've at least been aware of from tonight on.
I was actually going to invite him to come to the workshop to discuss how it's going to roll out and how it's going to be advertised and the outreach into that area. We picked this area because it was the most heavily used by a bus system, our residents up there, especially in Point East. And we wanted to get the most bang for your buck with those buses. And that's why that area was picked.
Commissioner Shelley, Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I think the idea is a good idea. Don't misunderstand. And I like the idea of bringing this up to the workshop. But my concern is our data is going to be almost a self-professed prophecy because we're only going to get data from what we are giving them to get data for.
That's right.
When you eliminate the northern section from Lehman Causeway north, that's a huge amount of property of Aventura. And very honestly, it's kind of, we're spending close to $400,000 of taxpayer or our money or whatever transportation money, but we're not covering our entire city. So I would like to have him come to that workshop and let's discuss this pilot program And maybe they can do it in sections and try different areas at different times. So if we're going to get data, we should have data based on usage in all the geographic locations, not just one.
Then can I have a motion to defer item I on the consent agenda to our next workshop? And I know he's on the call, and ask Jason from Freebie to please be present at that workshop so that we can ask and get more clarity. And you also have the time between now and the workshop, Mr. City Manager, to get with Freebie and find out what we need to do to extend the parameters, because I'm hearing really and truly that we'd like to be fair to everybody in our city.
Exactly.
And again, we're going to have the workshop. So can I, if there's not, Dr. Marks, you make the
I'll
motion?
make that motion, yes.
Okay, we're making the motion to defer, or David, whatever your appropriate legal language is.
Table to the workshop would be
Table
fine.
for the workshop, seconded by Commissioner Evans. If it's being tabled, I don't need a vote.
It could be just a voice vote for the whole body. It'd be a voice vote.
Okay,
Doesn't
everybody
have to
in
be.
favor of the tabling?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
Opposed? No, okay, good. Okay.
Mayor Weisman?
Yes.
I just want to remind everyone, I know that when Jason did bring it up the first time, we always said we were going to do a 6-month review no matter what. That was always the original plan.
Okay, and this will give us an opportunity to further flush out all of the details. And maybe he can give us some of the information that Carl Gables, lots of cities are doing it. So there's lots of data that they've gotten, and he can share with us what seemed to promote ridership in one area more than another, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about it.
We could every 3 months take a different quadrant of the city. If we want accurate data, then we could take a north section, a south section, a core area, every 3 months.
Except half the people aren't here in the summer.
Yeah.
Right. Or during Christmas. Oh, who knows? Maybe everybody's
workshop.
COVID, we can't go anywhere. But again, for data to be valid, it needs to be the same places at the same time and access to the same people. And again, Ron, maybe within the parameters that we're working, because it's not out of our budget, it's out of dollars that the county gives us, but we need to be responsible, with the dollars that the county gives us. Maybe when we see it, we'll give up something in one area and pull up more beyond the layman, because it's a huge area. But I think I'm okay. The motion was made, the motion was seconded, it's tabled. I've given publicly an invitation to Jason to come to the workshop. The city manager will follow up on that. Is there anything else, Mr. Attorney, I need to do?
No, Mayor, thank you.
Okay. We are now finished with the consent agenda. Never happened before.
I think we broke a record tonight.
Really? Okay. All right, that brings us to our zoning hearings, which usually take up most of the commission meeting, but tonight it's different. I'm going to request the city attorney to read the procedures for the quasi-judicial hearings, and I will request that the clerk swear in those wishing to offer testimony on items 6A and 6B. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. As you stated, item 6A and 6B tonight are our zoning hearings, quasi-judicial items. Any person who desires to offer testimony on these two items will be sworn in, as the mayor stated, by the city clerk. And persons who desire to offer testimony will do so under oath. If they desire not to be sworn, their testimony will be given due weight. The quasi-judicial procedures of the city are incorporated into the record for these two items, items 6A and 6B. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I will ask for a motion for the approval of the resolution.
I'm sorry, Mayor. At this time, the city clerk would swear in all witnesses who intend to testify on item 6A and 6B, and then I'll read 6A first. Thank you.
Okay,
If you will be speaking on either item 6A or 6B, or if you're an applicant, or if you're planning on speaking as a member of the public, I need you to raise your right hand at this time. If you're attending in the room watching the Zoom meeting and are planning on speaking on this item, I need you to raise your hand using your raise hand icon at this time. If you're on a phone, you need to press *9 in order to raise your hand to be sworn in at this time. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you.
Mayor, at this time, if I can read item 6A, the first item.
I would like, before you do that, I'd like to know who was sworn in.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mickey Marrero was sworn in, and somebody else under, I don't know, it's NJX 1758.
Well, they have to state their name for the record, so I think.
Right.
When
Right,
they- Yeah,
When the
Right,
item
correct.
comes up, I will ask them for their name and address for the record.
please. Because
Uh,
we have no way of knowing who's talking to us.
You will be able to see them on video, Mayor, when it's their turn.
Item 6A, resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, approving a modification of sign variance approvals granted pursuant to resolution number 2004-50 and 2005-47 for Miami Beach Healthcare Group LTD doing business as Aventura Hospital and Medical Center to permit a second wall sign on the east elevation of the hospital building and the replacement and relocation of 2 monument signs at 20900 Biscayne Boulevard, City of Aventura, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for the approval of? We're talking about resolution A, correct?
Correct, Mayor,
Mr.
correct.
Attorney? Which is the sign variance. Okay,
Correct.
can I have a motion for resolution A?
I'm grabbing apple.
Motion.
Made by Commissioner Narotsky, seconded by Commissioner Landman. I'm going to request Community Development Director Joanne Carr to present the staff report. Unmute.
There we go. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
You got me? I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. The applicant, Aventura Hospital and Medical Center, is requesting a modification to the existing sign variance to relocate 2 of the previously approved monument signs and to add a second wall sign on the east elevation of the Aventura Hospital building. Staff is recommending approval of the modification with conditions. The location, I'll share my screen so you can see the exhibits, that you also have those same exhibits in your report, but I'll share them on the screen now. Okay. This is a location plan. This is the Aventura Hospital and Medical Center at 20900 Biscayne Boulevard. The next one, let me get to it. This is a location plan that will show you the location of the proposed wall sign is on the east elevation of the new 3-story tower, expansion tower facing Biscayne Boulevard. The location of the 2 relocated monument signs, one is in front of the new tower expansion, and one is on Biscayne Boulevard at the newly reconfigured entry exit to the expansion area. A sign variance was approved in 2004 and it was modified back in 2005, and that was to permit wall signage and monument signs for the hospital campus as described in the staff report. The applicant's requesting modification to those variances to allow a second wall sign, this wall sign on the new expansion area, and to relocate 2 of the monument signs. The monument signs were here on Northeast 209th Street before the tower expansion, and another one on Biscayne Boulevard, now to be relocated in front of the expansion area and again on Biscayne Boulevard. The city code allows one wall sign per elevation, no larger than 1 square foot for one lineal foot of building frontage with a channel letter design. The previous variance has allowed 4 wall signs, 1 on the east, 1 on the west, and 2 on the south elevations of the hospital building, with the condition that no sign be placed on the north elevation. This request is for a 5th wall sign and a 2nd sign on the east elevation, where the city code allows only 1. However, taken as an aggregate, and this is the same rationale for the previous variances in 2004 and 2005, the existing 4 signs plus the proposed 5th sign tonight will not exceed the total square footage of signage that is allowed by city code for the hospital building. For the monument signs, the city code allows monument signs for the hospital when they do not exceed 15 feet tall for primary signs and 13 feet tall for secondary signs, with an overall maximum area of 65 square feet. The previous approvals in 2004 and 2005 allowed 8 monument signs, again, 2 of which were removed for the new construction, and those 2 are proposed to be relocated. They both meet the maximum size that are allowed by the city code. Staff has analyzed the request using the criteria for approval of sign variances in section 31-191M8 of the city code and finds that they do meet that criteria. Public notice of this application and a public hearing has been given in accordance with section 3171 of the city code. 1 written request for information was received, and the requested plans were sent to that person. The city staff is recommending approval of the applications with the following conditions: that all of the resolutions of the previous resolutions, number 2004-50 and 2005-47, not modified by this approval, shall remain in full effect and full force and effect. The illumination level of the wall sign shall not exceed 4,000 lumens. That's the maximum allowed by code. A minimum of 160 square feet of landscaping shall be planted around the new and relocated monument signs, again, a requirement of city code. Monument signs shall be no closer than 50 feet from another monument sign, and no monument sign shall be placed in the site visibility triangle. All of those conditions will be shown on the actual building permit, sign permits that the applicant will apply for. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, let me ask if the applicant has any comments. City clerk? Is there any representative from the hospital that has any comments? You're muted. Alyssa, you're muted.
I had somebody that raised their hand, but they put it down.
They have the hand back up, Elisa.
Yeah. Okay.
Am I waiting?
Yes, we're just waiting for him to turn his video on.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can hear you, but you cannot see me, it doesn't look like. I'm sorry that I'm zoomed in here from the house as opposed to the hospital. My name is David Waz. I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Aventura Hospital Medical Center, located at 20900 Biscayne Boulevard. And I'm here to entertain any questions you have. I'd like to thank City Manager Watson, Joanne, Carr, of course, and Mayor Wiseman for the opportunity, as well as all of you tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask if any members of the commission have any questions. Vice Mayor Shelley.
Yeah, quick question for you, Joanne. And is it possible to put up the sign of the picture 1 second?
Oh, yes. Yes.
I may have misunderstood, but I want to clarify something.
This is the rendering of the sign.
Now, of the locations.
Oh, of the location. Yes. This is the location for the sign. This is what the sign will look like.
No, I don't care what the sign will look like. I want to show, on one of them, you had a sign going up on Biscayne Boulevard, right next to the B of Boulevard. And did I hear you say that's being replaced, or that's one of the new ones?
That's a monument sign, a new monument sign that is replacing one that was there. This is what it'll look like.
All right, no, that's okay. The question I have is, and I'm assuming traffic will look at it, it will be set back so it won't interfere with the sight line of traffic going eastbound out of that area. So it won't block that, because it could be a dangerous intersection there, because it's going to be tough if that sign is not angled or set back enough that you won't see traffic coming down Biscayne with that sign there. So, but I'm assuming traffic will have a setback requirement for that.
Yes, there is a site visibility triangle, yes.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the commission? All right, I'm going to open the item for public comment and request the city clerk to review the procedures for members of the public if they wish to comment.
If there are any of the members of the public wishing to speak on this item, I need you to use your raise hand icon at this time. If you are calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. Mayor, I'm not seeing any speakers at this time.
Okay, then I'm going to close this item for public comment. And I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman.
Yes,
Motion-
and I need to give a shout out to the Aventura Hospital and Medical Center. As of this afternoon, they've made offers to all of the policemen in Aventura, North Miami Beach, Sunny Isles Beach, Golden Beach, and Miami Gardens to get vaccinated at the hospital. So I want to give a real shout out to a real community supporter. Everyone knows how we feel about our police, but that our hospital is reaching out to surrounding cities to take care of the people that take care of us. I just have to give kudos to everybody at that hospital. And thank you for reaching out to the greater community.
Thank you.
Did I stop you from saying it was passed?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Alyssa, did you get in that passed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then I'm going to ask the city attorney to read the ordinance for item B.
Thank you, Mayor. A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, granting conditional use approval pursuant to Section 31-144 F2D of the City Code of Ordinances to permit retail uses as a part of a non-residential development totaling 7.85% of the total gross interior square footage of the building, where the city code permits retail uses not in excess of 15% of the total gross interior square footage of the building. For the office hotel development located at 2820 Northeast 214th Street, City of Aventura, providing for recordation and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for approval of this resolution? Made by Vice Mayor Shelley, seconded by Commissioner Landman. I'm going to request that Community Development Director Joanne Carr present the staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. I've been sworn in. I would like to enter the staff report into the record. The applicant, Shalev Development Group LLC, is requesting conditional use approval to allow retail uses totaling 7.85% of the total gross interior square footage of the office hotel building located at 2820 Northeast 214th Street, where the city code allows a maximum of 15% of retail use as a conditional use. Staff is recommending approval of the application with conditions. I'll share my screen again with the same exhibits, and I have a couple of pictures of the building so you can see. Okay, there we go. The location is Northeast 214th, north of the hospital in the medical office district. This building, show you the picture. This is it faces both 213th Street here and 214th on the north, and also 28th Court. It is a combination of office and hotel buildings with retail on the bottom. So we've got, this is the frontage along 214th Street. You can see clearly here the retail spaces with exterior doors here. Section 31144F2D of the city code allows retail uses as a conditional use as part of a non-residential or multifamily residential building in the medical office district, as long as the retail uses do not exceed 15% of the total gross interior square footage of the building. In this case, the building is 118,694 square feet, and the retail space totals 9,320 square feet, or 7.85%. The original design of the building did include additional parking spaces for these retail uses to be used as intended. And I'll show you where the 8 spaces are. Here's a floor plan of the ground floor. You'll see there's this is Northeast 214th Street here to the north, to the top of the page, Northeast 28th Court to the side, and Northeast of 213th Street. The driveway, the entrance to the parking garage and drive-through is in this area. There are 2 interior, number 7 and number 8 retail spaces are interior. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 along Northeast 214th Street and 2 on 28th Court. They range in size from 900 square feet to 2,000 square feet. Conditional use approval will allow these retail spaces to offer their products and services to the general public, not solely as an accessory use to building occupants, if conditional use was not granted. Each tenant that has an exterior access door will also be allowed an exterior wall sign on its tenant space. Staff has analyzed the request using the criteria for approval of conditional uses in section 3173C of the city code and finds that it does meet the criteria. Public notice of the application and this public hearing have been given in accordance with section 3171 of the city code. 1 telephone request for information was received and answered. Staff recommends approval of the application for conditional use approval with the following conditions: that the location of the retail uses substantially comply with the plan that you see here on the screen now, and any discontinuation of the approved conditional use for a period of 180 consecutive days or more shall constitute abandonment and shall rescind the approval of the conditional use. That's a section straight out of our city code. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Let me unmute and try it again. Let me ask the applicant if he has any comments to make.
And moving Mr. Marrero over.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the commission. Mickey Marrero from the law firm Burkhardt, Riddell, Fernandez, Larkin, and Tapinis here on behalf of Shalev Development Group, the applicant. I think Joanne did a great job of covering the request. You know, what I would say is I think you've all seen over the last several years the medical office district sort of very exciting, being developed and revitalized. And what we've seen, especially recently, is that the mixed use concept has been what's taken the lead here. The sister development of this project, which is the 1212 project, you all saw last year and is currently just received its initial permits. When we came in for that one, we already contemplated the retail, and you all approved the same request as part of that conditional use approval. So this one's actually way further along and did not include this request in its initial presentation, but now obviously that mixed use component has become a critical part of the project, and we would just ask for your approval today. The project is complete, as you saw the photos. Hopefully start moving tenants in. Obviously COVID, has slowed things down a bit, but in the beginning of 2021, we'll start seeing tenants going in there and hopefully seeing this medical office district really take off. Happy to answer any questions you may have. And with that, we accept all staff's conditions and ask for your approval. Thank you.
Okay, let me ask if any members of the commission have any questions for Mr. Marrero. Seeing as there are none, I'm going to open the item for public comment.
If there are any members of the public wishing to speak on this item, please use your raise hand icon at this time. If you are calling in, please press *9 in order to raise your hand. I'm not seeing any comments at this time, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Then I'm going to close the item to public comment, and I'm going to ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans?
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland?
Yes.
Commissioner Landman?
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley?
Yes.
And Mayor Weissman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Mickey. Thank you. And Happy New Year. And we hope you have a healthy and happy year.
Happy New Year to you all as well. Thank you.
At this point, we're on item number 7, ordinances for first reading, and we have none. So we'll move to item number 8, ordinances second reading. I'm going to request the city attorney to please read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Aventura, Florida, amending ordinance number 2019-14, which ordinance adopted a budget for the 2019-2020 fiscal year by revising the 2019-2020 fiscal year operating and capital budget as outlined in Exhibit A attached here too, authorizing the city manager to do all things necessary to carry out the aims of this ordinance and providing for an effective date.
Okay, can I please have a motion for the approval of this ordinance? Made by Commissioner Dr. Linda Marks, seconded by Commissioner Landman. I'm going to request that the city manager review the item.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, each year we do 2 budget amendments, a mid-year and an end-year. This is the end-year budget amendment where we account for things that we spent a little more money on than we planned, and sometimes we took in more money than we planned. So in this case, we adjust the budget so it's accurate, and that's what this amendment does. We spent a little more on the locker room. This accounts for some monies that we spent over at Dumpsville for Aventura High School. It also accounts, a good chunk of this is for our COVID response, approximately $500,000. We will be reimbursed, and we're doing a very good job on that through the CARES Act. Some monies for legal review of different things throughout the year pushed us over the budget in that area. Most of these things could be taken, were accounted for where in areas where we had more revenue than we expected. And as we do normally, we're very conservative on our revenue projections. In this case, particularly with the FPL franchise agreement, we were able to cover most of these expenses. So this balances our budget for our audit.
Do any members of the commission have any questions or comments? Okay, I have a question. Is the locker room complete? And if not, what is the completion date?
It'll be done by the end of the, well, what month? End of January, we'll be done.
Which year? I'm not being sarcastic. I want you to
know. The way things are going, I don't know.
Who knows, right? And will anybody ever be able to use it? I mean,
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to open the item for public comment.
If there are any members wishing to provide a comment at this time, please use your raise hand icon. If you're calling in, please press *9 in order to raise your hand. There are no comments, Mayor.
Okay, then I'm going to close the item for public comment and ask the clerk for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Evans,
Yes.
Commissioner Friedland,
Yes.
Commissioner Landman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Narodsky,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Shelley,
Yes.
and Mayor Weissman.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you. There are item number 9. There are no resolutions tonight. That brings us to item number 10, reports. And I'm going to ask the commissioners if they have anything that they would like to report. Commissioner Dr. Linda Marks.
2 items. The first one pertains to restaurants. And we've been trying very hard, just personally, as my family, to really support our local Aventura, stores and restaurants. And one of the things that we have found over the last several weeks in supporting the restaurants is that there seems to be some restaurants that are doing an absolutely amazing job. All of the servers have their masks on. You can see in some of the kitchens and the employees have their masks on, and they couldn't be better. They're socially distancing. They're doing everything they're supposed to do. And other restaurants, the masks are under the chin, the masks are under the nose. They're not insisting that the customers wear masks. They're not insisting that the employees wear masks. I was just wondering, just because we're at such a crisis right now with, COVID and what's going to happen over the next several weeks, and we have this more contagious strand and I'm just wondering if maybe our city manager could send us another letter. I know we sent one early on about the smoking. Maybe we could send just a reminder. And maybe, I don't know what our policy is about, going into these various establishments and just doing a little check just to, keep everybody above board. But, if our residents are supporting the restaurants and they're not astute about maybe looking at what's going on or whatever, I hate to have anybody in jeopardy. So I'm just wondering if maybe we could just revisit, kind of do this again.
I certainly can do that. The police department does regularly visit restaurants. I don't doubt that you could slip a mask up and down, but we'll make a double that effort on that item. And offline, if you give me a hint of where those ones you saw, we can target those a little quicker instead of just.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and I have a little follow-up to that. We had authorized many months ago when COVID started to have our own Aventura A that would be posted on restaurants that have met our criteria and they're doing everything appropriately. My understanding is that happened. And I've got to ask you, how many restaurants have the A rating and where are they? Because I haven't seen one sign.
I'll get back to you on that and the A ratings and the where to find them. Okay. I don't have it off the top.
I think everybody needs to know. That's why it was a public rating, because when you walk into a restaurant, you want, just like in New York, Vice Mayor, what's the first thing you see? The public health department rating, and it makes a tremendous difference. It's a dangerous time now. This is for everybody. It's a dangerous time. People are letting their guard down. This is a time we really need to do a really good job of patrolling our community, and we've been doing a very good job up to now. So I appreciate your comment and question, Dr. Marks. I see Vice Mayor Shelley's hand up.
Just briefly, David, I want to apologize to you publicly. I didn't mean to yell or lose my temper. I just got frustrated, but I do apologize to the commission and to you if I raised my voice. I was abusive in any way.
Oh, very nice of you. No apology necessary. Appreciate your diligence, and it's very nice of you. Thank you.
Well, Bob, I think the nicest thing that we heard all night was what Ralph Arza said. And, he was a former state representative. He probably attends over 100 commission meetings in the course of a year, and he's been doing it for 25 years. For him to give our commission, he said, we're the first city that looks like we
Right.
actually really like each other. We don't take it personally. I think, coming from an outsider that doesn't know us, he observes
Very nice.
something very special about us.
Thank you.
I really do.
Right. We are special.
We are. Any other commissioners' items to report? Well, then I guess I will, and I will ask Rachel as our representative to League of Cities, if I leave anything out, to please weigh in. But the county is massing their campaign. It seems that all of the vaccine that comes into Dade County goes through Jackson Memorial Health Systems. And then they parcel it out to the other hospitals. Fair and equitable distribution was brought up today, and I'm not sure we're there. The speed, what they're hoping for is starting next week, they will do 75,000 vaccines a week. And they are told that they will get 75,000 vaccines. And then this will be a weekly recurring amount. All right. No one knows for sure if we're going to get it or not, because somehow between what the state says and what actually happens in our hospitals here, there appears to be some difference in numbers in terms of vaccine. I told all of you what the Aventura Hospital is doing. My understanding is that Mount Sinai will be opening up the Mount Sinai in Aventura to be able to
that's good.
Okay, to be able to service public that qualifies. And remember, the qualifying right now is 65 and over. Okay, so, unless there are some other debilitating concerns. She's asked for cooperation and no lone wolves going off and making their own deals, because as always, in a county made up of 34 municipalities, some cities have already explored getting their own supply of the drugs. It's very complicated, and obviously, Broward did 26,000 in registrations, and they were out of their doses. Jackson opened up today, and what the Herald said is that they were opening their site at 11. Of course, they opened it before 11. By 11:15, 14,000 people already had taken all the slots. So the good thing is there's demand. Okay, and the demand seems to be coming from the population most at risk. So again, those are really good things. They're pockets of the community, and we may have them in our city, that are very adverse to vaccine and vaccinations. And at some point in a workshop, we're going to have to talk about what we need to do in the public interest and about public health. But we were not cited as one for right now. And I don't know that, we would have no data on it. With that said, does anybody else? Rachel, did I miss something?
No, I just add, Mayor Weisman brought up that teachers need to be looked at as a urgent need, that we need to take care of our teachers. And I think that is a great point.
No, thank you for that. What I asked is that the League of Cities, that's 34 mayors, write a resolution directed to Governor DeSantis, telling them that teachers are essential to our opening up this economy in any way that we're going to be normal. Teachers have to feel safe going into buildings, and we'll know at the next meeting of the board of the league if they took my recommendation. Commissioner Evans.
Yeah, is there any date in sight where the Aventura Hospital will be giving out vaccines to the general public in Aventura, for instance? Is that on the cards in the near future? I've been asked this question.
Okay, as I said, Sinai and Aventura is going to.
No, I understand that, but
yeah, that should take a little pressure off. But right now, HCA hasn't authorized anything more for that hospital, and they don't have the doses that they would need. So if they get what they're promised for next week, my guess is this is going to be a revolving story. Each day they're going to open for more and more because they've all been warned. You can't let the vaccine sit on the shelf and say you're saving it for the second dose. All of it has to go out, and we were all promised that there will be second doses. So I think starting next week, you will start to see a lot more availability as they convert some of the testing sites to vaccination sites and other things that they're planning to do. On kind of an interesting note, the assisted livings and the nursing homes were supposed to statewide be handled under a contract with Walgreens and CVS.
Right.
And yesterday DeSantis said, no, that's not going to happen. They're way too slow. They can't move fast enough. So today we were told that he's going to use his strike task force, which is comprised of 1,000 nurses and the National Guard, and they will be going into these facilities.
I'll just add, I think Mayor Weissman, I thought it was interesting. You know, there are some cities, and I'm not saying what's right or wrong, like for example, Miami Beach, Mayor Gill, their mayor recognized, you know, that he wanted to be able to try to help more people in the community. And he was able to get his hands on one of these deep freezers, which are difficult to come by. And he put it in one of their fire stations, and he's going to try to, you know, get out 10,000 doses that kind of a way. I don't know if that's something my phone's been blowing up. People are asking these questions like, oh, there's a commission meeting. Can you ask if our city can distribute? Can our city distribute it? The problem is, the reality is we don't have the dosage. The medicine, the vaccine's not there. And I'm sure we would be happy to give it out if we could get our hands on it.
Giving it out isn't so easy. Okay,
right.
You've got to go through all kind of training and be approved by the state, and it takes months of planning this. But I would encourage anybody that's writing comments to us individually we go to public comment on every issue. We'd love to know that they're involved and that they care and what their thoughts are, because their thoughts ought to be what's driving us. I think the vaccine's going to start to free up. Again, the state said they can't give us the 75,000 doses until the state has received 500,000, and they're not there yet. I mean, again, this is a little confusing. There were 99 people on this call with every department of health and everybody else. I just think we're going to have to tell people to be a little patient. For the next couple of weeks, they're probably going to open Hard Rock as a drive-through testing site. It's really, I think, the fly in the ointment, not testing, vaccination site. I think the fly in the ointment is the distribution, the logistics behind getting the vaccine to the cities that really need it. And
I just want to point out something. This wasn't from the meeting, but I actually have a personal relationship with a doctor who got the vaccine and got COVID a week later. So everyone needs to just take care and realize that just because you got that vaccine, the first dose, don't run around like a lunatic and assume you're safe and that you're Superman, because it's not. Right. And this, you know, it's a prevalent time. The numbers are going to be the highest right now. We really need to remind people to be more careful than ever.
Agreed. And just so everyone knows, you know, a lot of people take the flu shot, and many of them still get the flu. So we shouldn't think of this as a miracle, but at the moment, it feels like a miracle. Okay, and you're right to remind all of us to be very mindful. Anyone else for the good of the cause? Okay, then if there's no other, I will open it up for public comments.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Thank you. If there are any members of the public wishing to provide a comment at this time, please use your raise hand icon. If you're calling in, please press *9 to raise your hand. I don't see anybody wishing to make comments at this time, Mayor.
Okay, then I'm going to close it for public comment, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, we do have somebody that just raised
Oh,
their hand.
sorry.
Howard Weinberg, hold on one second.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you? How is everyone?
How's the skiing?
It's very, very cold here, freezing. So I just wanted to comment, is the clock running? I'm not used to only having 3 minutes, so I'm going to talk very quickly.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Howard Weinberg, 3370 Northeast 190th Street, Aventura. So the freebie, there's a couple of challenges, and I respect what some of you were saying. It's a tough thing because, first of all, it's a game changer. I look forward to when Jason comes and speaks. They recently started in South Miami, and it's an absolute home run. The feedback is amazing, but the challenge we're faced with, of course, is ramping up. And as Dr. Marks said, how do we know that if we do it in the South, that's a representative sample of feedback? And Commissioner Shelley recommended the possibility of sort of trying out different locales. So I think that the challenge is if you start somewhere, there's a time lag. People have to know about it. They have to download the app. They have to get used to it. And right when they start using it and saying, wow, this is great, then if you take it from them and move it to another sector, you're going to lose those customers. They're not going to come back again when they go to use their app and there's no response. So I think you need to figure out the best way to do it. I think the answer is to ramp up as quickly as possible. And I understand that that's going to be somewhat of a leap of faith, but then again, it's budget neutral. And there's going to be, I think, a 30-day out clause if it's not working. So you won't be putting any good money after bad of the transportation tax. But I think what we're going to find is that it's a much, much, much more efficient transportation system with a greatly reduced carbon footprint. And the feedback you're going to get from the users is going to be fabulous. So you're going to want to keep ramping up. You're going to want to advance. You're going to end up reducing. You may eliminate first the silver line. You're going to end up taking away some of the circulators, and those funds are going to be redirected, and people are going to be much happier. Again, your challenge is going to be, how do you commence this? How do you start this? If you start with Williams Island and Point East and they love it, you're going to hear from the Point and Waterways. If you start south, take it away and move it north, you're going to hear from the people in the south. So I'm not professing to know the answer right now. Let's listen to Jason and see how he rolled it out in other communities. But the feedback, the references, the reports he gets are unbelievable, although they're true. So let's see how we can do it, because this is going to be a game changer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
Anybody else? You're muted.
I'm not seeing any other speakers at this time.
Okay. Then I am going to close the item for public comment and ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll motion.
Made by Jonathan Evans, seconded by Commissioner Narotsky. Everybody stay safe.
Thank you. Too. Have a good
Bye
night.
now.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Take care.